ba, ba, ba. I'm a cell phone, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, I'm a cell phone, yeah. Yeah! Hey guys, nice the singing dog here again. So I said there was a part 2 to the Q&A. I wasn't lying, I promise. It's here. It's right now. This is part 2 of the Q&A. Yes! It's been a busy month and I'm really grateful for it, but I've been traveling all around America. You know, I was in Florida at the beginning of the month in Orlando. Yesterday I was in Virginia, then I was in Manayunk in Philly. So I'm just traveling everywhere. It's been a crazy month, but I have a chance to relax, and I would love to spend this opportunity to finish my Q&A that I promised you guys I would finish. So I'm sorry, but here we are. Let's do it. Okay, here's a question. Which of your original songs was most personally meaningful for you to write? I mean, that's a lot of them, but I'm going to give you a really good example that I think is a good answer to this question. And that would be There's No Good and a Goodbye. One of the songs from my album Unleashed that I released in 2014. I really personally love that song, and I love the message behind it because that really is, it's a weird one. Basically, I tell the story of one of my previous relationships from the other person, not myself. So it's a lament about that person towards me, and their thoughts on me and our dynamic together as a duo. And I thought that was kind of cool because, you know, there's a lot of breakup songs and they're kind of your own feelings, and those are great too, but I really thought, why don't I kind of change gears and try to write a song from the other person's perspective? And that's what There's No Good and a Goodbye is all about. Okay, here's another question. What's it like being a costume musician in Philadelphia? Interesting, but mostly amazing. I say interesting as a little side quest to that, because it is really fun to perform in Philadelphia. I'm so thankful for all the opportunities, because as you guys know, I work at a lot of conventions. I perform at most of them definitely on the East Coast, and I'm slowly moving over to the great beyond. But I also am very privileged to work with a lot of festivals and a lot of bars and music jams in Philadelphia and Wilmington and Dover and all over the area, Phoenixville too. It's amazing, like I said, but also interesting. And the interesting part is, I mean, you're a person who's showing up. Most of the people who have you on board are so awesome that they're not even 100% aware of what you do. So when I perform music in Philly, I get a lot of people that are like, at least the main managers of the shows that I do are aware of what I'm all about. But then it's so funny to see, you know, the fellow musicians, the audience, they're always like, wait, what just, where am I? What just happened? It's a pretty interesting reaction for that. And it's always fun. It's always fun to, you know, mix things up for people. And everyone, for the most part, though, it's never anything negative. Of course, you get the hecklers, and I love them too because it bounces. You know, it evens me out and keeps myself humble, and also reminds me that it's just as serious as it is fun too. You know, I'm very serious in what I do. I have a lot of music that I love to perform and get out there, and I'm very committed to it. But also, you know, it's fun too. Like, I have to get real with myself. I am literally playing in a costume in front of people, and this is at bars. This isn't even at conventions. This is people like this is their happy hour, and they're like, there's a guy in a costume here. This is, I don't know if I'm ready for that. So, but they're always so patient. They're always willing to be ready, at least by the ending song. So that's the interesting part of it. But like I said, it's such an awesome opportunity to be able to continue to do it. And it's not even like I do it once. People keep having me back. And I encourage everyone else to do the same thing, because all you need is that one chance, and then you just keep going for it. As long as you work hard and you let people hackle at you and have fun, you know, that's really what it's all about, is having fun. What was my favorite cartoon growing up? I want to say Rocket Power. I think it was Pokemon. Okay, nice. What was your favorite cartoon growing up? Okay, we need some context first. So, I grew up with basic cable. I didn't have, like, Cartoon Network, and I didn't have all those things. So basically the most things I had were Pokemon and Sailor Moon. Yeah, Pokemon, it was Pokemon, Sailor Moon. There was like one Saturday morning, so I kind of got recess for a little bit but they started making things more real cable. We didn't have Netflix or Hulu back then. So I had a really limited option of things, but when I was like in 7th grade, we ended up getting this free trial of like cable HBO. So I was able to watch Rocket Power. I was able to watch all of Recess. I was able to watch Hey Arnold and all that stuff, Courage the Cowardly Dog. So I actually think my favorite show was Rocket Power because I was really excited by it, as well as Hey Arnold. But I also watched that by the time I was about to go to high school. So kind of, a really lame childhood in terms of cartoons. But now it's really funny because now we have Netflix and Hulu and there's tons of shows online you can stream. So I'm really getting caught up on all of my cartooning right now, actually. So for right now, I'm a huge fan of Soul Eater, but that's more anime manga and not really cartoon in the American form anyway. But to give you kind of an idea, I'd have to say as a kid, when I was a child watching cartoons, Pokemon was still like my thing. I was obsessed with Pokemon, absolutely, to the point where I became my own character. What's my favorite sport activity? Let's play video games. You're slowly going forward. Totally fine. Okay, nice. Who is a good boy? Me? Okay, what was your first performance like at a convention? From Dakota G-Shep. Dakota G-Shep, I know exactly what my first performance was like at a convention. I remember it fondly. It was so elegantly awkward. But that's how it works, It's always about practicing and getting better, and it's always going to be better the next time you do it. Ideally, that's your goal. So never get bummed down about how the first growing pains of your first times goes, because this is a great example. So my first show was in Rochester, New York in 2014. So by that point, I just released Unleashed. I had my first nice costume finally. I was really excited, and I had to go into the new frontier of, okay, I have all the music, I have the costume, now let's perform live. It's not that easy. I have been always producing music my life, so I was really excited that I could finally perform it. But however, the work doesn't stop once you make the music. You now have to practice, and you now have to perform. And that was pretty eye-opening for me. I actually, frankly, did the performance lip-synced because I ran out of time, and I really wanted to do it so I could practice and be able to sing in the costume, and there's only so much time that we could do things. So my first show was lip-synced. If only I could do the national anthem that way. But that was a really good opportunity for me to at least, dance on stage, give the illusion that I was singing, and from then on, I decided, I was like, we are going to make this a thing. I'm going to make sure that I'm actually singing the songs, and so I got to work. So that was a really good opportunity for me to say that I do performances now, for real, and for me to have a goal set for myself so that never happens again. But like I said, that's what they're all about. They're all about practicing and making sure that every time you do it is better than the last. Because I make sure every time I perform that I remember where I came from, and that Rochester, New York, yeah, we're not going back there. That's what it was like. It's always good for me to remember. What is your favorite song to perform? I think right now it's Howl at the Moon. I love Howl at the Moon. It's really fun for me to perform, and I like to do it in guitar and with the microphone at the same time. It's really cool. And if you guys have come to my new shows, I like to incorporate other instruments as well as sample pads. So I try to give the whole experience to everyone too. In general, always come and see my shows, even if you think the last one you saw was, too close and you can do other things. I totally get you. But if you come to my show again, you're going to see some new things that we always like to bring to the table. So never miss it. You always find something new that I do. Because it's all about improving, like I said. Do you have tips on how to sing? So as someone who has actually had private vocal lessons and has been in choirs with churches and with music, I did go to music school. So I was in a lot of choirs and musical ensembles and did plays and things like that. It's really good to have professional experience. It's really great to be able to get someone like a one-on-one private coach. Those are awesome. However, while those I believe are also essential, what's even more essential is that you are always practicing, you are recording yourself, and you're listening to yourself. For two reasons. One, because you need to get over yourself. You need to get over that your voice sounds weird. We all think our voices sound weird. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know why. Being close to ourselves, we sound different than actually how we are, but it's something you really have to get over immediately. Because once you get over that, then step two, you can actually hear yourself and evaluate. Not comparing yourself to other vocalists, that doesn't work. You need to listen to yourself as someone who's progressing, and when they started, that you've gone way better since that starting point. So yes, while I do recommend vocal coaches, they're awesome. A lot of people don't have the money for them. Frankly, most of them are like $100 an hour, which is fine. You know, if you can afford it, that's amazing. They are invaluable. But what's also invaluable is that you are able to always practice, and you can hear yourself critically. And even if you can hear yourself critically, it took me forever to be comfortable trying to evaluate the way I sang and trying to actually hear it without me being like, I don't think I'm like the same caliber as other singers, you know, to actually be able to hear myself and evaluate it. Well, it took me a while. It took me forever. But what I did in the meantime was I still practiced. And that's the most important thing you can do. Because it seems like, oh, well, if I'm not a good singer now, I'll never be. You're actually building the muscle itself. So by the time that you practice so much, your muscles are actually, and your vocal cords are actually figuring out ways to do things easier. They're optimizing, which gives you abilities to do cooler things that you wouldn't have done from the start. Now, my trick, I wouldn't say I'm lazy, but I like to do so many different things. I always block off way too much time in my schedule to do things, and it always becomes a problem, especially for practicing. What I've gone around doing that is what I do is I try to book as many shows as I can, free or hired gigs, but I always try to make sure I do a lot of stuff because sometimes it's difficult for me to wrap my head around practicing. I'm like, no, there's no time to practice. That's a waste of time. I have all these things I need to do. So then how I get around that with myself is I end up booking a ton of different shows so that's actually kind of my practice, you know? And it's great to do that anyway if you are fortunate enough to be able to get all these events that you can perform at, because that way you're kind of practicing too. Obviously, I know, it's a little more stressful. You're in front of people. The stakes are a little higher, than being in your room. But for someone like me who tries to, book everything down very, very intensely, I find that if I book a lot of shows too, that doesn't exclude me from practicing. Obviously, I need to practice, but it helps me when I can't always find the time to practice. That's kind of my way to keep my vocal cords sharp, on tact, and make sure they know what they're doing. Because the worst thing you can do is not sing for a while, and then that is always fun. Your vocal cords, when you need them, they're like, oh, I'm waking up. Oh, I have to do this? Huh. I guess I gotta figure this out from the beginning. Super fun. Do not recommend. But like I said, practicing, if you can, learn as quickly as possible to be able to hear your own voice critically and impartially, so that you can take it with a grain of salt and not be too concerned that it's your own voice, and try to make it better. But all that, if you practice, that is your golden ticket to being on your way to having a great voice. Okay, one more question. What was it like composing both versions of Paws to the Walls? It was a gamble, definitely a gamble. I really, when I met everyone in the fandom and doing what they're doing and being costume performers, I really noticed there was a lot of music that was very difficult to identify with what we do. It was awesome music, but it could be tied to any number of genres and wasn't specific enough for what we do. So I needed us to have our anthem. I needed an anthem, and I was like, I'm going to make one and see if people dig it. They probably won't dig it, but I know how to get people on board. We'll do a raffle. So what I did was in 2013, I had a raffle, and I asked a lot of people, and this is where the first version comes. This is called the Persona version of Paws to the Walls. I put out a lot of messages on boards saying we're doing this raffle. If you want to submit, you have the opportunity to have your character or whomever you identify with be shout out to in the song. We'll do a shout out on the song, and then you'll be included in the cover art for that. And so I had a lot of people sign up. I ended up making my choices, and I wrote the song. And then it got so popular and people were so into it. I was so excited. I didn't expect it. And I decided, you know what, when I'm making Unleashed, my first full-length album, I gotta put it on there too. But maybe cut it down a little bit, make it more radio-friendly, just so people can all enjoy it. My biggest fear with that was that if you have all these other people talked about in the song, it kind of makes the listener feel left out. I don't know if that's true, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone was included. So I had the two versions. I had the Persona version for the characters who won the raffle, and then I had the album version for everyone, so they were all able to feel inclusive as well, even if they didn't win. So that's kind of how the two were. But they were both a pleasure to make. I'm really excited with the turnout. I did not expect it to be very popular, but I go to so many places and I hear people tell me how much they're in love with the songs, and it means a lot to me. I always make sure every show that I include it on the last song, because you can't not have a song without it, and you can't not have a show without it. I mean, if people love it, I love to do it too. So thank you guys so much. This is the second part of my Q&A. I will have another one happening soon. I am making my latest album, Escape the Humans, so I will be a little under the gun with time. But I do want to do a Q&A soon, at the latest in 2019. Oh my god, we're almost done the year, it's almost 2019! So I will have that, another Q&A coming up soon, so don't think that if your questions you gave me weren't answered, that's totally cool. Please submit them next time. I always love doing Q&As when I have the free time, and I'm grateful that I'm so busy, but I also understand you guys wanting to get your answers for your questions too. So, or you can stop by one of my shows and ask me in person, but I know it's way more fun to hear it on YouTube too. So, and not a lot of people can come to everything all the time, and I get that as well. So stay tuned for our next Q&A, and guys, have a rocking weekend! Woo!
What up? I'm Nice the Singing Dog, and you're awesome! Thank you so much for watching my video! I'm a green singing dog with fun rocking music, and I've got plenty more coming your way! So click around me to watch some more awesome videos, and check out the link to my website so you can stay in on all the action. See you around!